The information provided on this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. Reliance on any information provided here is solely at your own risk. Welcome to the Birth Baby Podcast. Each week, you'll find guidance, encouragement, and practical tools to support you through pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum journey. I'm your host, Sierra Morgan, a certified birth and postpartum doula, hypnobirthing educator, and pediatric sleep consultant. I'm also the owner of a doula agency in Austin, Texas, and the founder of the Birth Baby Academy, where I offer classes for both parents and birth professionals. Thanks for being here. Hello, everyone. Today, I have a special guest with me named Kaitlyn Scott. She is a dedicated labor and delivery nurse and a seasoned ER nurse. And she, even though she is a labor and delivery nurse, guess where she had her two babies? Out of the hospital. I actually met her when I was doing a birth with a past client, and we had her, and she was just so unbelievably helpful. And I kept trying to ask her to come onto my podcast while we were at this birth. She is also a photographer who does birth and family photography. And I'm so excited to have her here to share her birth stories today. So thank you so much for being here, Kaitlyn.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we kind of geeked out together at the birth that we did together. And I actually had the mom reach out to me a couple of days after her birth and just like glowingly review you to me and ask if I knew how to get a hold of you. And I was like, wait, I think she followed me on social media after she left that birth. I think I can find her. Yeah. And she just was like saying so many nice things about you. And then she goes, and you are great too. I was like, no, it's okay. You don't have to compliment me. Like, I don't feel, I was like, I don't feel bad that you're complimenting her. I'm so excited that you loved your L&D nurse. So can you tell me a little bit about the journey of like getting pregnant and how pregnancy was for you, especially with the lens of being a labor and delivery nurse you were already serving that population at that time, right?
So I wasn't, but it's kind of what encouraged me to get into that birth world. Yeah.
Many of us do that. We have our own babies and then we're like, we've got to help other people do this.
Yes. I mean, it's like a calling for sure, because when I was doing my residency, sorry, a little sidetrack. When I was in nursing school, I went to a delivery and one of the units, and I was like, no, I will never be this kind of nurse. This is disgusting. Ew. But I was like in my young 30s, single and not having babies at that time, obviously. And then I had my baby and was like, I'm doing this. This is amazing. Anyways, don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But going back to how did I end up here and getting pregnant? I got married when I was like 37. So, I'm advanced maternal age.
You're geriatric pregnancy.
I'm a geriatric pregnancy. 2 months later, just like it happened miraculously, magically, like unassisted, and I I didn't even I don't know if I was even tracking my hormones or anything. I was just like, let's just try it. Because if we have a kid, we have a kid. If we don't, because I'm old, then we won't have a kid. And that's
that
fine.
Probably served you well, because the people who stress about it, like that does affect your hormones. So that probably was good.
Yeah. All that extra cortisol just stressed me out. And so let's see. So I got pregnant and I started using an OB, out of Lakeway, but I worked for that company, but, she was surprisingly just very dismissive, and, she was pregnant at the time as well. But so anyways, all my prenatal care was great up until it wasn't. And my blood pressures, which I have a backstory for that too, but my blood pressure started creeping up, and they were always high at the OB office. And so she kept saying, well, we're going to have to diagnose you with gestational hypertension if you have one more high reading. And I'm like, but I promise you, I'm taking these at home. I take them every day. They're always normal. One teens over 70s, So I was very healthy according to my nurse brain. But every time I went there, they were in the 150s, 155 systolic range. And she was like, we're going to have to induce you at 39 weeks. So we're already having these conversations of induction. And C-section and all this when I was like not even in my second trimester. So I was already like, I don't like why
I'm being groomed.
right. Absolutely. So I have a little backstory to that if you don't mind me like
No,
plugging
please.
it in. But
It's great.
so the reason I have like a little PTSD was when I was in my 20s, I had a LEAP procedure.
Oh, I've done that.
So I had a LEAP procedure and I wasn't grounded properly. So the little grounding pad that sits on your thigh wasn't properly, I don't know, maybe that was like a defective packaging. I don't know. But so that wasn't placed correctly or whatever. And I got shocked a couple of times. So I got shocked in my butt, like underneath.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, what was that? You know, and your legs are spread open wide. Like my OB was great at the time. She was fine, but she just didn't believe me. She's like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing's going on. I'm like, okay, well, like that really hurt.
They thought you're just saying it hurts the procedure. They probably didn't realize it. Wow.
Yeah. So then she's like, well, let me put in a little extra numbing in there. I'm like, okay. And then a couple of minutes later, like an electric shock went down through my toe. And I'm like my toe is burning. And she's like, no, it's not. And just totally dismissed me.
Wow.
And then I kind of had like a little mini panic attack there. And they had to give me, some anxiolytics to help calm me at that time. And that was like in my young 20s, right? But anyways, so I think that's part of why I have kind of like this white coat syndrome whenever I go to the OB. And so then this OB that I was with, for my first pregnancy, she was like, well, have you ever thought of therapy? I think you might need to go to therapy and figure out why you're so afraid of birth and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I'm just like done with you at this point. You're schooling me that I need to go to therapy because my blood pressures are high in the office. And you're telling me, then she started telling me I was a good candidate for a C-section because of my anxiety. I'm like, no, I want the least, invasive thing to happen to me. So then I started just kind of thinking like, well, maybe I should think about looking elsewhere for like either changing an OB or doing midwifery care. So I sought out Austin Area Birthing Center and did a tour. And I brought my husband. I'm instantly like, I felt at peace. I felt calm. I was like, I belong here. This is
I can see chills all over.
This is where I want to have my baby. It was just like you walk in and it feels like home. Mm-hmm. And then just meeting, there was like a certified nurse midwife there at the time. And I met her and she just kind of like put my mind at ease and like explained everything, in my ER mind. I'm thinking, well, what if I hemorrhage? What if I need this? Mm-hmm. What if I start to go to the worst case scenarios because that's how my mind is trained. And they just had all of their backup information and kind of those plans to, if an emergency happened, to get me where I needed to be. And so I just kind of trusted in that. I got a doula. And then let's see. Yeah, got a doula.
Did you take any classes?
I did a birthing class there. And as a nurse, I knew the basics about birth.
Right.
I knew that the uterus was going to squeeze and it was going to hurt. All that, but I didn't really remember it all from nursing school. So that was helpful. But when the actual event came, I was like, oh, I don't remember any of that information. Like whatever you told me in that class is over my head, and I'm not even remembering any of it.
I actually tell people the reason I require first-time parents to take a childbirth education class if they're coming with our company, which they don't have to take it with us, they just have to take one, is because I can't teach you everything you need to know in the moment in your labor, and you're not going to remember what I told you in the birth class, but I'm going to be able to say, hey, remember what they said about, and I'm just going to bring it up, and you're like, oh yeah. And then you can recall it. Whereas if you've never heard it before, now you're drinking from a fire hydrant while I'm trying to explain some things to you. And that's really overwhelming. So at least you have the recall ability. Like we talk about the what if scenarios on certain things and, certain different procedures that could be done if this, then this, if people are asking. And they don't need to know that unless it comes up again. And if it comes up in their labor, then I'm able to give them that quick little reminder of a couple of buzzwords. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, in this situation, we'd like to do this or whatever. So nobody remembers everything from their birth class when they're in there. So you're not unique. Don't worry.
Yeah. When you're in it, you're in it.
So what was it like, going into labor and going to the birthing center and all of this when labor did start? And how far along were you when you went into labor?
Goodness. Let's see. So
Oh, wait. No, wait. Was your blood pressure bad when you went to the birthing center?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't
normal. They did, they did manual blood pressures, which nobody does in the hospital setting ever, unless you're told by the doctor, hey, go get a manual. But so I then was like requesting at like all my visits after that before I transferred, because I had to transfer at like 32 weeks. But I was like, can you do it manually? And it was always fine, but still.
And you were the squeaky wheel that was just annoying them, I'm sure.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Sorry, what was your question?
Okay, so that's good. So your blood pressures were good. So what was it like? Like, how far along were you when you went into labor?
Yes. So I got a membrane. So I went in, I think when I was 40 weeks exactly. And I went in that morning because that was my 40-week checkup. And then they did an NST on me. And that was all fine and good. And I have like pictures of my husband and I just like, oh my gosh, how much longer are we going to be pregnant? And then they did a membrane sweep because I was 3 centimeters and I had remembered being in prodromal labor. Yeah, I was already 3 centimeters on my due date. And so I was in prodromal labor though, for the like probably 5 days before all that. So I had a membrane sweep 2 days before that at 1 centimeter. Don't do that. That's just silly.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
But 3 centimeters as a first-time mom from just prodromal labor is pretty incredible. That's
I did a lot of the hippy dippy prep stuff with like the dates and all that good stuff. And the what's the pill? I can't think of it.
Oh, the evening primrose.
Yes, evening primrose. I did that too. But anyways, and I walked a lot. I walked like 2 miles a day.
Good.
So the day of, I got after the membrane sweep at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or something, got home, wasn't thinking anything of it. My husband was like, I'm going to go run to Home Depot to get something. And I was like, and I had this weird contraction. I'm like, maybe you don't want to go. Maybe just go stay back for a second. Cause this one was weird. It was like, it was intense, but it wasn't like, oh, this is it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, let's go. So that was around probably like 12:30-ish. I want to say 12:30 or 1. And then 30 minutes later, I was supposed to go to acupuncture because I had an appointment that day. And then I started having more of these like weird contractions. I'm like, oh, these are funky. And then by like 1:30, it was like banging them out every 4 minutes at least or something. My water broke around maybe like 2-ish or something. While my doula was over at my house, like all on my bed, just.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I was just laying there because I was kind of just like, what is this? I felt like just something had like hit me and I'm like, okay, I'm like a roller coaster. You're just kind of like hanging on for dear life at that point. These were like so crazy. And my doula goes, okay, now that you know, your contractions are going to get way worse because your water broke. I'm like, oh, great.
Thanks for the warning.
Yeah. So we had called the birthing center, told them that my water broke and I was contracting every like 4 minutes at least at this point, three or 4. Got there around, I don't even know the times because it's been a couple years now at this point.
Yeah.
And then had him by 7 p.m. So a fast labor for a first-time mom, definitely. Yeah. So that's what was so encouraging me to have my home birth this last time, just because I knew I was like, I have fast labors. If the second time is half the time, half the push. The car ride for my first one after my water had broke was the worst pain ever. I was like, get me out of the car. Every contraction was like, every contraction you just wanted, it felt like glass was just like shattering in your abdomen. It was so bad, but all is well.
So you had your baby on your due date then?
So on his due date. Yeah.
How cool.
Pretty like what, 3, 4, 5% of babies.
That was me too. I had my daughter, my first child on my due date too.
Yeah. I was like, it's ejection time. Let's sweep it.
That's so funny. So, okay. So you had a really awesome birth experience at the birthing center.
Definitely. I think, as a nurse, I see a lot of people I don't see that many people that have doulas, but somebody who experienced having a doula, I think they are critical So thank you for what you do.
Sweet.
But I mean, I think that every patient, every mama deserves to have a doula, especially the first time. And you don't know what you're going to expect, and to go into something kind of blind, because even though you take all this education, sometimes there's moms that are just unprepared, like myself.
Yeah. And when I have a surprising number of people who come to me and did not have a doula for their first and realized, oh my gosh, I needed one, and get one for their second or even their third. I just had a recent person have a baby with me. It was their third baby, first doula. So it's hard because it's like a big investment on the front end. And you're like, well, I don't even know what to expect. Like, do I really even need it? And all of the moms who are in my classes, like my hypnobirthing classes and stuff, they're always like, I'm so excited for all these first time moms in this class that already have a doula and are already taking the classes, because you guys are starting off like on such a good foot, Yeah. So then you already said that on your second baby, you had a home birth. So you decided to do that because of the length of your labor and all of that. How was that experience? And was it much different from the birthing center, or pretty similar, just that you were at home?
It was, I guess similar in the fact that it was very kind of hands off, and like, no interventions or whatever. I don't know if that's even the right way to put it. Did
you do membrane sweeps and all of that this time?
I did a membrane sweep, and I was, let's see, I'm trying to remember.
What's funny is that one's more recent. And you're like, ooh, let me think about it.
I know. And I wrote it all down last night. I'm like, let me think about all this stuff. But I forgot about the whole membrane sweep, but I think it was like the week before. And I had been, Leonora was my midwife, and she checked me, and I was like 3 centimeters. And so she's like, and this was at probably 39 weeks. And so she did a sweep, and then that didn't work. Then I used my friend Ashley, who was my doula, but also she's a massage therapist extraordinaire who does induction massage.
And was she your doula the first time too?
No, she was my doula for the second one.
Okay, just for the second one.
She just started getting into birth like about a year-ish ago now. And she's amazing. She's super, super amazing. She's with the Nurtured Flamingo.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you should look her up. She's pretty great. But she did an induction massage in my house, and it was magical, but it did not work because I was 39 weeks. I think my body was just like, I'm not ready yet.
You just weren't ready. Yeah.
Pump the brakes. And because I just, in my head, I did not want my due date was July 4th, or no, it was July 1st. But I was like, I don't want a July 4th baby. So let's get him out ahead of time. So I went into kind of like a prodromal labor after that as well. And she came over later that night, like with her kids. We all went swimming. I was kind of like pausing through these contractions, and she's like, oh, this might be it. And then we got in the pool, fizzled out. And I think just the stress of having 4 kids around, and like, you couldn't like just get into that relaxation stage that it was like, all right, we're done.
Yep.
So then I was supposed to go in for a membrane sweep on July 3rd, which was when Levi came. So I was supposed to go, I'm like, I'll just get another membrane sweep then and be checked and whatnot. Just because the labor nurse in me is like, give me the data. What is my, like, how am I doing? How am I progressing? What was I going to say?
That's okay. You're postpartum. That's always our excuse. I'm like, I'm almost, my son will be 8 in 2 weeks. And I say that I am still postpartum. 8 years like postpartum.
Isn't it like, it lasts like 7 years or something? I've heard.
So I was asking you if you got a membrane sweep again. So you did. You were going to go get a membrane sweep again on the 3rd.
But I didn't because my baby came.
Yeah. And was this labor really half the time?
It was like considered a precipitous birth.
Ooh, fun.
Which is like under 2 hours, right?
Crazy.
So this one, do you want me to tell the story now?
Yes, please. That's amazing.
Cool. Yes. This one was like 3:30 in the morning or so. I started having kind of like Braxton Hicks. I was like, man, I just kind of woke up to him, went to the bathroom. That didn't help him. And then around like 5 o'clock in the morning ish, they were getting like kind of closer and closer, maybe like 6 to 8 minutes apart. Because I started tracking them at this point. I'm like, yeah, but they're still not painful. They're not very uncomfortable. And I texted my doula, Ashley, around 5:30. I'm like, hey, and I was kind of telling her what's going on. She's like, try taking the Benadryl. So I took the Benadryl, because that's also what Leonora had told me to do as well. She's like, if this is real labor, the Benadryl will not,
Won't do
touch
anything.
labor, so you'll be just fine. And I don't know if that's because my Benadryl was expired or I was just fumbling in the middle of the night.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this one's expired by a couple months. It's fine.
I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah. So I took that. It didn't work. And around like 6 o'clock, I nudged my husband. I'm like, these are like, still 5 to 8 minutes apart now. I'm like, but they haven't gone away and I can't go back to sleep. Maybe you want to get up and start your day. Just maybe. So he comes upstairs to his office where he's working. And I text him at like 6:30. I'm like, can you come make me breakfast? Because I think this is it. So he came down, like made me breakfast. I tried calling my midwife and she didn't answer for some silly reason, but I called her at like 7. I finally got a hold of her at 7. I was like on my ball, just doing the,
the rotations. Yep.
The rotations. And I'm like breathing through them at this point. I'm like, kind of not really humming yet, not really doing that like external sighs yet. And she's like, okay, do I have some time? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Yep. Take your time, get your coffee, eat your breakfast. I'll be good. And she's like, okay, well, I'll be there like close to 8. I'm like, okay, cool. Close to 8. And I'm just like, I got this. I can do anything for an hour. Right. So her and Ashley showed up at the same time, around 8 o'clock. And then I'm still at this point, 8 o'clock, walking up the stairs, trying to just like get a little outfit. I'm like, Ashley, will you come help me pick out an outfit for Levi?
Get a little outfit. I love it.
Like I'm in active labor and like, let me just walk upstairs and,
the important things in life. Okay.
But the stairs were good for you, right?
That's true.
Movement, shimmying that little head down. Got him a little outfit, came back down. I was using the diaper changing table in our room to like, okay, pause. I'm closing my eyes. I had these, my comb in one hand and another little like prickly.
That little grippy thing. I saw you busted that out at the birth we were at together, and I have since bought some for my birth bag.
Oh, they're so wonderful. I just let a friend who's who I'm doing her birth photography at the end of December. I just gave it to her. I'm like, here, use this. I promise it's amazing. So anyways, got back downstairs, 8:30. I'm like, can you just check me again? The labor nurse in me wants to know the data and the like, what am I? I want to, check my cervix. I don't care. I'm okay with the cervical checks. And so she checks me and I'm like sitting there just talking, like you and I are talking. And she's like, girl, you're 10, 100% and +1. And I'm like,
shut up.
No way.
And you weren't even that bothered.
Not bothered, but
that is cool.
The saving grace, I think, honestly, was that my water was still intact. Yeah, because the first time when it broke during my first birth, it was like, hell or high water, right? But this one, I think because it didn't break until he was almost coming out, that's what really, really helped me. And so I'm like, then it got me thinking, why did we break all these mama's waters in the hospital, Ooh. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's really surprising to me too, because a lot of moms that have these really fast labors go, man, everyone wishes they had one, but that was so intense. Like they feel like they went through all of the intensity in a short period of time, but how cool that actually you weren't super bothered.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
I love that.
And then around like, right when I found out I was 10, they were like, do you want to get in the tub? So I was like, all right, fine. Like, whatever.
You're like, entertain me. I'm bored.
Yeah. Not really, but I was curious because I had set the tub up. I was ready to, get in it if people thought. And so I was kind of just going based off of like what other people suggested. So I was like, sure, I'll try it. Like, let's get in. It sounds lovely. It was lovely.
It's lovely.
Yes, it was definitely lovely. So got in maybe around 8:40, I think it was, like on my little, when I was looking at my notes. And then I think I just kind of like got to relax a little bit more maybe. And like my uterus just started force ejecting this baby out. I think I maybe pushed like 3 times or something.
That's so cool.
But I didn't even have to push. Like during my first birth, I had to push for 45 minutes and had all these like D cells and just lots of things. And this time it was just like my uterus was like, squeeze.
And so wait, maybe you already said it, but now did your waters just release when you were pushing then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt like this big pop, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I think that's it. And they were like, yep. And then, I just felt like as he was coming out, cause I'm like, I think in that moment I got like, I was holding on to the little handles. And again, it was like that, what's happening? Oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do here?
Yep.
No direction. And so I kind of had a little freak out moment, and they were like, push him down. And I'm like, huh? What? You want me to touch him? And so I'm like sitting, because I just felt like he was putting all this pressure up at the top, like, and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna rip up there.
Yeah.
So I like pushed down, and so I pushed him down, and then as he was coming out, I like reached down and I just like instinctively caught him and pulled him up, and he was kind of born like partially in call.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't really see it because I was so,
Yeah.
and nobody caught it on video. Nobody caught it on the camera.
Oh man.
Hence the like reason for birth photography, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I had trained one of my best friends. I was like, here, let me teach you how to use my camera. I'll have it set up. So right when you get here, you can just take pictures with it, and I'll do the editing and blah, blah, blah. Well, she got there 3 minutes after he was born.
Oh man. Darn you and your fast birth.
I know. So yes, it was just a great experience. I think I had a great team that just believed in me. I believed in them, and my blood pressures were fine. And then it was really awesome because just afterwards you're in your bed, you're like surrounded by people who care about you. Your family can come in and see you right away. Also just, my doula, she ended up going to H-E-B and getting some food, and then came back and made me a meal. It was like the best meal in the world.
Yep.
It was so good. And
I would say the food and the shower after a birth are the best.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. But I think just overall, I think it was so empowering at the end of the day to be 40 years old and having a home birth and knowing all the things that I know from being a nurse and all the, I don't want to say ridicule, but like the pushback of like, well, you know what happens, or you know what can happen. I'm like, I do know what can happen, but I also know how safe it is to deliver at home, and how trusting of your providers you have to be, and establish that good relationship, and ask all the right questions, and do your research, and educate yourself on all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is amazing what it can be, and how many people don't realize what it can be like. Like, you just don't know unless you've had midwifery care. It is just different. And to hear that from someone who works in a hospital setting as a labor and delivery nurse, and that is, I think, what my just favorite part about working with you in that birth is that like, people don't get people like you in a birth. Like, to have someone there that truly believes in birth, and you still have to toe the line because you are working in a hospital. So I know that there are things that you are doing that you're like, I wouldn't do this if I didn't have to. Like, I have to do this part, But that was just so cool. And it made my client's experience, like the hospital that we were at and the things that we were going through, would not have been the same. That experience was absolutely colored by your presence and the way that you hold yourself and the way that you believe in birth. And so where in the process between your two kiddos did you decide that you were going to switch to labor and delivery?
Yeah. Let's see. I want to say
they're not far apart.
No. My kids are almost a little under 2.5 years apart from each other. And I think when Weston, my first little bud, was about a year old, I can't remember exactly, but I was like starting to really think about it. And I had photographed a birth. My first birth that I had photographed, and I just kind of reached out, or my doula for my first birth knew this mama, and she was like, do you want to photograph her birth? She's looking for someone. I'm like, well, I've never done it before, so I'll do it for super cheap.
Yeah. That's how I got a birth photographer for my birth.
Yeah. And it was so like, I want to do this, And then, so let's see, I think it was around that time when I started looking for jobs like labor and delivery, because you have to do a residency, or not a residency, but a fellowship going from one specialty to another. And it was not a natural progression whatsoever. It was a definite learning curve. But but probably around that time. So like when he was like a year and a half. So I've been doing it for about a year and a half now, almost. In May, it'll be 2 years total. So really not that long, but I've just become so passionate about it. And like, I talk a lot about my birth story. And I think my favorite part is just educating moms, being there for them, advocating for them, letting them know the like ways of that things are going to go, and then letting them know that they have choices. And
that was so huge. I mean, when we came in, that's what you did. And I won't say too much, but like, you're like, here's what you can expect. And remember that this isn't what you said. This is how I always put it. You're an autonomous human and you can say yes or no to anything. Like, you don't have to, just because something is suggested doesn't mean that you have to do that. And that's what informed consent is, like, is shared decision-making, like giving somebody all of the options and then letting them choose, even if it's not what everyone else wants or thinks should be done. And at one point during the birth that we were at, I looked at you and I was like, part of me is like, why aren't you a home birth midwife? Like, go be a midwife. And then I stopped and I was like, no, because we need you in the hospital. Like, people who are in the hospital need you. And that you're willing to do it is wild. Like, the fact that you're giving birth out of hospital and you know what it can be like, and you're still willing to put yourself in the hospital setting and advocate for these moms this way. And like, it is, as someone who, I mean, I attend births everywhere. And I have to be careful about which hospital births I choose, because sometimes I'm traumatized. Like, there's secondary PTSD. And I have situations where I'm like, I leave and I hated that. And sometimes the mom feels good about it. And so, of course, I'm not going to make trauma for them by telling them how awful it was. And of course, sometimes we have a beautiful experience and someone's traumatized. I'm like, what? I thought that was great, you know? So I think that can be really hard as a birth worker, whether it's a L&D nurse or a doula, is we care so much. And then we do take on the emotions of the people that we're around. So you expose yourself to that every time you go into that hospital and help people have babies in a hospital that really isn't set up for physiological birth and has a lot of roadblocks along the way that make it way harder to achieve that goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think our hospital where I work has a really good perspective on physiological birth. And I don't know that this is my only reality, right? Because I haven't really worked other places, but I really think we try to support mamas as much as we can. There are some nurses out there that are like, oh, just get her that epidural. She's not going to make it, you know, like, that don't really believe in these mamas sometimes, but it's like, that's just the nurse and them kind of taking over, and that's okay. It is what it is. But I think we have a really good team where I work. So anyways.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the nurses make all the difference. I joke that the OBs come in and steal the show at the end. The nurse did everything. And like, you even start pushing with them and they just come in as you're crowning. I'm like, oh, sure. Pretend like you did this whole thing. Not to say anything bad about OBs. I'm not, but y'all do so much work. And then they get the prize at the end.
And then thank you so much. And it's like,
oh, doctor, thank you. And you're like, the nurse just killed it. And now he took the credit. Well, I just love hearing this because it is just really, again, so cool that you chose to give birth out of hospital, even though you are a nurse. And I love that you made that experience into something where you're like, I can help other people now. And that you even do birth photography, which is so fun. So can you tell people, if they wanted to find you, how they could find you? And I'll also put it in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. I am on Instagram and it's at Kaitlyn Scott _photography. And then I also have my website, KaitlynScottPhotography.com. And you can reach out to me if there's like a little connect link. You can always DM me. My inbox is always open. My cell phone number and everything is on my website as well, if you really want to like text or call me as well. But
you're so amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I get to work with you again soon. And maybe we'll be at a birth where you're doing the photography.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, and review the podcast. It helps us reach more families who can benefit from this resource. For more resources, classes, and services, head to empoweredbeginningsatx.com or check out the Birth Baby Academy at birthbabyacademy.com. Until next time, wishing you confidence and calm on your journey through birth and beyond.